Hey, I'm live. Okay, this seems to work. Let me know if it does. If you can hear me, see me, maybe both. Because I have no clue if it actually does. But yeah, I'll just wait for you guys to drop by and let me know. Hi, Deep Gradient. Yeah, I don't have a specific plan for this stream. I just want to figure out how it all works and yeah, just show some of my projects, and you can just ask questions. Hi, Mike Myers, David Leonard. Oh, it's getting crowded right now. So it seems to work. Great. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a specific plan, but I just go over some scenes that I haven't presented in videos yet, but yeah, I might I might start creating a shader later if you have a suggestion, but I just show some of my stuff here. One more thing, I start some music in the background. Let me know if you can hear it, because it didn't show up in the Streamlabs. Probably not. Ah, hi, Emiliano. That's a name I remember. Yeah, I just start with the Pong scene. You might see that I have it on my gun road. Let me just find the link, and I just go through a little bit of it to show what it does and how it works, just real casually. Let me quickly grab the link. So if you want, you can download it and try it out yourself. My internet. Here we go. Okay, that's the link for the scene. But you don't have to download it. I'll just show what it does here. Okay, so it's basically just Atari Pong machine, a very basic model. But the main part here is the screen. If I go into the look dev, or maybe rendered mode, you can see that it's actually a working Pong shader screen. Well, I know the original Atari is not an LCD screen, but it's not perfect. It's not realistic. And the fun thing about this scene is actually that you can control the machine, the two players, with these nodes here. As you can see, if I change this value here, it turns the knob and also the player. I also wrote a little script here. It looks more complicated than it actually is. It just makes it a little bit more comfortable to play, but it's still a mess, let me tell you. I had a little bit of trouble to get this to work correctly, so let me just play it. You'll see what I mean. Okay, the ball, it's hard to see. Let me go into the camera view. The ball goes just like you would expect. but the points don't count up. You actually have to do that yourself. Because I couldn't figure out a method to make that automatically. By the way, all that's happening here is within the procedural shader for the LCD screen, so I'm not using any code for the game. Yeah, that's why it's so complicated to get to work. It's actually not really a game. It's not sensitive to your inputs. It just it's hard to put into words. I can go through the frames here, back and forth, so it doesn't work with time. It's just that when the ball hits the side of one player, and the player paddle here is not on the same height as the ball, the other side here lights up. So I can manually, by pressing 1, oh, doesn't work. Oops. Here, one on the numpad, I can increase the value here. That's just what the script does, to give it a little bit of keyboard input. I could also manually increase these, but that's really tedious. And then the ball goes back to the middle. And yeah, I do all of this by using nodes, node structures, and most importantly, drivers. It's been a bit of a while since I made this shader, so I'm not 100% sure what everything does, but the main thing to know is that all of the inputs in this course are used by drivers in the other nodes to set up the position of all the pixels here. So if I attempt to play this, I have to do basically everything manually. So the actual challenge with this game is to, well, actually play it. Because, oh my god, I have to manually... I already messed up, I know. Oh, and the music, I don't think you can hear it, but the music in the background is extremely annoying. The most annoying music I could find, so... Oh god. Yeah, but you get the idea. It's really tedious. And to get into the more usable detail, the more interesting part about this that's applicable in other shaders, I mean, it's not really that useful of a game, but is the LCD screen. And that works basically by quantizing the input to a specific map of pixels. So let me put this up in a new blend file. It's actually a lot better in Blender 2.8 to do this kind of effect. You could do it in Blender 2.79 as well, but it's much better in 2.8. Let me just add a plane. Get some coordinates. After 2 beers. Yeah. Maybe I should drink some more alcohol before this. Okay, so to see what I'm doing, I'll add a noise texture. And I want to add a very simple pixelation to this. Pixelation effect. First, I'll just add a value for the size of 1 pixel. I'm gonna make this like 0.1 for now. Get the desired coordinates. Wrong one. I just use the object coordinates and then separate X, Y, Z. For now, I just want to do a pixelation in X and Y direction because I don't have a Z component for this plane here. And well, the rest is basically math nodes. I just start with 1. And then we have a few options. The easiest one is to go to the floor operation. Let me quickly show what it does. It will basically cut away the part behind the decimal point for each value. So at the 3D cursor right now, it's 0. Here it's 1. Here it's 2. Because I'm using Filmic and not default view, you can see the edge here. This value doesn't have any effect because it's just cutting it off to the integer, basically. So to control the size of the pixelation, I'll have to add another math node, and this is going to be a multiply, I think. No, a divide. I always get this wrong. Okay, a divide. So in the spot where it's 0.1, it'll also be divided by 0.1, so it's going to be 1. And that's exactly where the edge of the floor is going to be. I can control the size of the pixelation. This is only one direction, so the other direction is going to be the same. But then I have the wrong coordinates because I divided by 0.1. So after the floor operation, where I cut away the middle part, I'd have to add a multiply to get it back to the scale. Like this. Then I can just duplicate the same operation for the Y component. I'll just use the same value here. And then in the end, just combine these coordinates. So let's see. Yep. That's the pixelation working. So that's a very basic pixelation method. As you can see, I can just change the size of the pixels here. As you can see, the setup is very basic and simple, but it's effective. One problem might be that I'm not using like like a pixelation in Photoshop or something, the color of one pixel here, of one quantized square basically, is going to be, should be averaged over the whole square. But in Blender I can't do that because I don't have the blur option. I mean, I could, but that would be insanely difficult for the performance. It would take ages to calculate. So in this example, it's going to take the value at the lowest point of the of x and y direction. I could also take the middle point or the highest or any other point. But in this example, in this simplest example, it takes this point to use the color from. Maybe I can actually, hold on. Let me try to show this. Here I'm just increasing the contrast so you can better see it. Okay, if I now use the undistorted object coordinates, you can kind of see that it's distorted into this direction here. So this whole pixel here, maybe you can see it here, gets the color information of this point. And this pixel gets the color information of this point, if you look closely. Kind of. So yeah, that's a drawback. Yeah, I have a light set up here, so maybe this is the problem. Is it better? Yeah, it's actually not a digital bloom effect. It's just a very harsh light source right beside me. This should be better. Maybe. I mean, the webcam isn't the most important part, I think. It's just when I'm talking to you guys, it's better to have my face on screen, I think. But it's not that important. So yeah, if you have specific questions, just shoot them at me. Just let me know if you want to know something. Or if I'm moving too fast, or if it's boring, whatever. Yeah, next time I'll just set up a studio lighting here. Yeah, I have very low equipment for streaming. I have a DSLR for recording tutorials and a pretty good audio setup, I think. But for streaming, my webcam is horrible. It's really cheap. It was the cheapest I could find back in the day. So yeah, if this goes well, I keep doing streams, I'll definitely go for a better camera. But for now, this will do. Okay, this pixelation process is pretty specific, but it's actually a large part of other things that I do. For example, for the scales texture or for the bricks texture, I always do some sort of quantization to get a specific color data for a larger area. Like for a single scale on the scales texture, something like this. like this. Okay. So yeah, the same thing for the pixelization is made here, but it's a bit more unneedlessly complex, to say the least, because I have this this number screen here, and I had to basically program the numbers manually, which is kind of dumb because I have no text input, no font here. So I think it was draw score. Yeah, probably this one. Yeah, I have a 2-digit display out of 2 1-digit displays, and there I have a whole tree for all the numbers from 0 to 9, and then just select the one I want to show on screen. And for each one, I just use a simple line that is pixelated. It was a lot of work that's actually just really dumb to do, but it was kind of fine to check out what's possible within this the node editor. Yeah, so that's this dumb project. I thought about doing more different games, like a side scroller just in the shader editor, like Super Mario or something. Yeah, not sure. Maybe I'll focus on some more useful examples. Okay. Yeah, you may have seen the video the video and the package I uploaded today for the noise. Here's the scene. Do you have any specific questions for a specific node group of noise, or where you can use it, or how it's done? I used the noise 2 node group quite a lot, actually. The other ones not so much. I mostly create them from scratch every time I use them, but maybe from now on I just import them. That's mostly why I uploaded the pack. The noise 2, it's nothing really new. I came up with it myself, but I actually saw it quite many times afterwards in tutorials, or I think it was a Beacon talk of Gleb Alexandrov, actually. Not sure. It's really cool. I used it for the snakes, for the tree. I showed that in the video. The streams will get viral. I don't think so. How many years of nodism is behind me? Not sure, actually. With nodes, I think I started with excessively creating node-based shaders with the piano player project. Yeah, actually, let me boot that up. I think that's more interesting than me talking about noise. If you do want to hear more about noise, just let me know. But for now, I just look for the piano player. Just real quick, here's my art station with the finished results. Yeah, so this skin shader here is fully procedural, everything. I did use some vertex color layers, I think 4, just to let the shader know, okay, here's a fingernail and here are veins. Here the cells are supposed to be bigger than here, for example, stuff like this. I used 4 layers, and oh yeah, for the palm, that there is a fingerprint texture, but everything else is procedural. The moles and the cells themselves. Yeah. So let me quickly find the file. I'm not sure how well it will hold up in 2.8 because this project is from 4 years ago. I think it was 2.78, but not too sure about that. So yeah, it's probably a mess to port into 2.8. Okay, I'm pretty well organized with my file structures, but I have too many file structures. Here we go. Let's see. How did you separate the pixels for the numbers? No, that's I assume you mean the Pong shader. That's the exact same pixelation I did here. So it's basically this. But then it's all math nodes basically. If you want to know this specific thing, you can go into the file. But it's actually just this pixelation here. I'm just telling oh, actually no, it's not this pixelation, it's something different, I think. It's a less than and a greater than operation. Sorry for going back and forth here for the people that want to see the piano player. I come back to that in a second. So you can just, let's assume I have this some x value here, just going from left to the right. And I put in less than 2 and greater than 1. Then I can just add this clamp, because otherwise it would go to no, add is wrong. Sorry. Multiply. I don't need the clamp. Yeah, let me just show it. And then I have this line, and the same in the other directions. But it's not always 1 to 2, but maybe 0 to 3 or whatever. But that's basically the operation here. I can make this variable by just adding, where am I? Here we go. Adding 0.5 and adding minus 0.5 like this. And I can just move this line here along the x. That's basically it for the numbers. And then getting it right for every direction and every number. Ooh, let me just quickly catch back up here. Wolfenstein style ray casting. I haven't seen that actually. Ray casting, I mean, I have no personal experience with render engine programming. But ray casting is definitely something that's worth a try with the upcoming GPUs. Yeah, the piano image actually, it was a huge breakthrough for me personally. It was basically a milestone for my art, for what I did before that. Random walk? This, no, I just threw some I think some subsurface scattering was in this version really new to cycles. It couldn't even be rendered with GPU at that time, so I had to render the whole image over CPU. And I didn't worry about the algorithm behind it. I just threw some subsurface scattering onto this. Adam is asking, the thought process of building them from scratch is real interesting. Like, where do you even start? How much trial and error versus how much reading and studying is involved? Well, it depends on your experience. For this project here, it was almost everything trial and error because I had no experience with node-based shader building. I spent a huge amount of time into getting this right, but I loved every step of it. I don't know. I think it's for each person, it's different, but if you spend a lot of time doing trial and error, you will just learn so much from your experience. For me, it was for the node-based shader building, not so many tutorials, but rather just experimenting and trying things out. The node system of 2.8. Personally, I like it a lot, but I mean, there's always so much you can improve. I built most of my shaders with just the math nodes, and then some extra texture and useful nodes, but it's very mathematical and very precise at the moment. It's not very user-friendly. It should be more user-friendly. If there would be included a lot of more user-friendly nodes, it could be just as good as Substance Designer, I think. But yeah, it's still a quite long way to go, but I think we'll get there in a few years, for sure. If people are interested, and that's what it seems like as of now. So for me, it's quite good at the moment, personally. Yeah, the Everything Knows project gets me really hyped. I have to say that. I really want to see this. I have no clue when it's scheduled actually, but it's gonna be awesome. Wait. Do you mean the rainbow colors for the LED screen? I might confuse something here, but yeah, I didn't mention the colors. The colors are just multiplied afterwards. Just a little hack. Here, I can just mute this, and then I have just the pixelated black and white image. I forgot to mention that, sorry. And what's happening here is just basically I multiply these little pixel shapes with different colors over the black and white image in the background. I can also set a specific division to make it higher resolution, but the underlying base resolution will not change. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, sorry. You want to see the random walk in the piano player? I mean, I did re-render this project with 2.8. A lot of the settings changed, so it didn't look quite as good as the original. I mean, I could just adjust the project to look the same, but it actually looked too clean because I rendered it with, I think, 7,000 pixels in one direction, and it looked too sharp and clean compared to the original. But it, even though it was 7,000 instead of 3,000, I think, it rendered in half an hour compared to back in the day on my CPU with a crappy computer. What was it? I think it was 60 hours over a weekend. I had to render it in a high resolution because 3 Artist magazine needed that in a high resolution. You guys are actually asking more than I expected. Keep going, but I'm having a hard time to keep up with it. Okay, this is the shader. It's a bit confused with the roughness power nodes for 2.8. It's been a long time since I tried to get a sense of this. You know what? Let me... Yeah, this is just set to Gaussian. I don't know if that's the one I rendered it with. Is random walk that much better? I haven't seen any comparisons. Like night and day, I don't know. I mean, I could give it a try right now, but my computer will probably not be able to handle this. Just let me see. My camera will most definitely be lagging a lot. Sorry for that. I just turned it off. Yeah, no, I won't do the whole rendering right now. Let me just change. Okay, let me just quickly change the settings. I just give a quick render like this. Okay, I mean the quality is really crappy right now, but I'll give it a try anyways. So on the second slot, I'll just go for the Gaussian. Just real quick. I know that this is not an accurate benchmark, but maybe we'll see a difference. What do you think about Substance Alchemist? I haven't actually checked it out. I saw a lot of stuff and it all looked really cool, but I have no clue what it's about actually, which is a shame. At first glance, I like the Gaussian one a lot better because it's, well, smoother. So it's a lot less render time and it's a bit lighter, but maybe the settings are just wrong for render walk, I don't know. Yeah, messing with math nodes is a good idea, I think, but if you don't have the time, I don't know, if you don't have the time, Blender is not right now the program to go with for this kind of stuff. I think it's a lot of fun, it has a lot of potential, but it's also time consuming. If you get a hang of it, it can be a lot better and a lot faster. It has a lot of different other applications than Substance Designer, for example, because it's not pixel based, but vector based. So you have a infinite zoom level, basically, infinite resolution, essentially. So where did I start? Yeah, this was basically the first node-based shader I built with Blender that was more advanced and complex. As you can see, I'm just at this point using a lot of color ramps, trying to make it work, using a lot of textures. But you should know this is a good example of a shader. It does its job, but it's really inefficient. It has a lot of parts that are hard to calculate for the computer. A lot of noise textures are never a good idea. And instead of color ramps today, I'd much rather use math nodes, because every black and white color ramp, or yeah, most of the black and white color ramps can be just as well dealt with by math nodes. It's much more comfortable to do it like this. So if you're starting up, feel free to use as many color ramps as you want. So yeah, the red nodes here are the vertex colors. I try to go into look dev, but I'm not sure it's gonna work. Here the road in the background is actually also procedural. It's just a Musgrave. 2 Musgrave textures. This is actually the first implementation. I just figured out how to do the regular noise of the noise pack that I released today. This is basically the same. You can just do it by using a Musgrave texture, multifractal is just standard, then setting the dimension to 0 and I thought it was 2, but the luminarity, I don't know how to pronounce it. 1.5 here. I thought it was 2. Oh well. Wow, this works a lot better than I thought, actually. I mean, the lights are completely off, but this is okay. I'll just change the rotation center to the cursor. Oh god, it's compiling the shaders. Here we go. Okay, So in the vertex paint, yeah, I just made a color overlay for the veins and the knuckles. Then a black and white pass for the cell size. Then the palm, oops, black and white for a print mask. And the same for the nails. And well, I actually did this all with vertex colors because I'm lazy. I could have done the same with image textures, but I would have to would have needed to make a usable UV map, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to use cheap vertex colors, and it works. That's always a quick and dirty way to get around UV mapping. I haven't done a lot of UV mapping in my life yet, and I'm not willing to do it just now. Yeah, but since then I knew that I loved making shaders like this, and I kept going. But, well, I haven't done many projects after this one until last year, when I started to do more. Okay, I missed a lot of messages, I think. Thin Geo, I think you mean the random walk. Maybe, I don't know. Thanks for the words, guys. The Knitter project. As far as you knew, one should not change the specular value for photorealism. I have heard of that actually. I am actually not that much all about 100% physical accuracy. I mean, PBR shading is awesome and gives very good results and very little work. But most of the time I just go for what looks best in multiple situations. I mean, the specular, I don't know, to me it makes kind of sense that you have to change the specular value for different materials. I mean, the roughness, obviously, but also the specular. I might be wrong, but that's what I think should be accurate. I haven't read anywhere that you shouldn't. So if you have a source, then just give me a link and I'll look at it. Optimizing by baking, yes, definitely. Like I said, I'm just too lazy and cheap to make the UV mapping. But yeah, you can definitely bake all your procedural textures. You just lose the proceduralism. You lose the resolution to your baked resolution, and you lose the parameterization that you have done, or you may have done. But yeah, for exporting, definitely bake them. Thanks for the kind words again. You should also render the node tree, yeah. Someone should make an add-on just to export node trees to 3D objects. That would be kind of cool, actually. It should be doable. Where did you learn what you know about nodes? Well, Mostly experimentation. I mean, I watched a lot of tutorials, but that was basically back in the day when cycles wasn't even that much of a thing. I didn't watch that many tutorials after cycles was introduced. I just experimented a lot. And yeah, I think I'm drawn to a mathematical approach because of my scientific interests. I'm studying physics at the moment. Maybe that's an explanation why I'm drawn to these mathematical approaches, which is very, very good for node work at the moment in Blender. A rocket engine. Yeah, it's more a hand right now, but I think you could also do a rocket engine with a very similar node setup. Okay, let me load up another project. If you have any specific project you want me to talk about that you saw from me, let me know. I think I just... Okay, I can quickly give you a peek, you guys. You might have seen on my Twitter that I'm working on procedural bricks. Just a second. That's actually something I've been working on for quite a while right now. Here's a render. Well, a clay render. I shared part of this on Twitter. And voila. Here's the actual render. This is 100% procedural and more or less finished. I don't think I'm gonna change much about this specific shader. And I'm planning to release it this week along with a few more shaders, which I still have to make. But the base node group is finished. Here's the evolution of the node group. And here is what it looks right now, what it looks like. It works, it's supposed to work in Eevee, but if you too many nodes outside of the node group, it'll just not work anymore. But in cycles it does. So let me go to the look dev. Yeah, this is the brick texture. It's essentially, let me just boot up a new texture. It's essentially very similar to the native bricks texture, but it has a lot more features. Oops. So yeah, it can do quite the same thing as the native brick texture, but it can also do some random stuff. And here's a feature that's pretty cool in my opinion. The random rotation snaps, if you put it to 1, it snaps to the maximum rotation it can have without turning too much. Do you miss the relaxing node wrangler? What do you mean? The node wrangler is the same in 2.8. The straight lines, I think the straight lines are much easier on the eye compared to the squiggly lines in 2.79. Sverchok. Yeah, Sverchok and animation nodes are both things I really want to get into, but I haven't yet. I have yet to do that. I'm using only native nodes, which is kind of embarrassing, but yeah, all native nodes. So yeah, it also gives you the mortar, just the let me boot up the normal brick texture. This gives you a random value between these two colors for each brick in a mortar, and then also a factor for the mortar. But that's it. This texture gives you okay, let me go back to the standard values. Gives you a smooth fall off. Well, this can as well, but you also have these round corners like this. Then a bevel and a mortar all separate. And the initial height output is not randomized for the bricks, but you can get a random RGB for each one of the cells of the bricks. Oh, yeah, the cell position doesn't work, it seems like. I have to fix that. Let me just quickly make a note. Haven't checked that. Yeah, that's why I haven't released it yet. Then the cell vector, which is actually very important to, well, it's not that important, but you can get an image into each one of the bricks. Like, for example, as you can see, it's basically a UV map for each brick. And if you wanted to, you could, for example, get a gradient. Where is it? I'm blind. For each one of the bricks. Let me just... I have this cell vector where the 0 origin point is here, and 1, 1 is here, 0, 0 is here, 1, 1 is here. Now I want to shift the center of this gradient into the middle, so I just subtract here 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Well, not this one. So I have a gradient. And I can just make the height a bit smoother, for example, by multiplying this. Okay, it's not that impressive to see right now, but that's something you can do with the cell vector. Yeah, and the split map is an information where it's split. And the tilt map is quite interesting as well. I used this to make them... What was that? What was that actually? Okay, what was this sound about? You see anything on the screen? Because I didn't. And I have no idea what this was. But yeah, these gradients here enable me to tilt the bricks, like you can see here, for example, which adds a lot of variation to the bricks. Okay, I missed a lot of messages again, I think. Okay, not so many. Yeah, let me know if you like these streaming sessions, if you find them useful or just chill or whatever. This is the first one, and I'm planning to do more, but I mean, if people don't find them useful or anything, why bother? But I think it's quite nice. So yeah, that's the bricks. I keep working on them. So I can hopefully release the bricks node with a few example shaders and maybe a tutorial video this week, I hope. Thanks guys. Okay, great. Yeah, maybe next time I'm streaming I'll have a more scheduled plan of what I'm doing. This time it's just random nonsense, but maybe next time we'll just create a shader live or something like this. That might be cool. So yeah, like I said, if you have any suggestions, what you want to see or what you want me to show, let me know. That's great to hear. Thanks, guys. Okay, as you can see, and I said earlier, the Eevee has a bit of a problem with too many nodes. So the basic shape of the bricks is working. You can see the mortar here, but something isn't quite right, as you can see here. Also, this pattern here, this noise pattern should not be continuated. It should be randomized for each single brick. Oh, I closed it. As you can see here, it's not a continuated pattern. So Eevee just drops the job here. It's just like, okay, I did the shape of the bricks, but that's it, nothing more. But Cycles gets it right. There's no weird crease here. Just the single bricks. Yeah, I will definitely at one point create a shader live. Maybe pretty soon with the bricks shader. I think that would be kind of cool. I might, if nobody has some other questions about anything different, I can just finish or move on with the other example bricks that I started. This one's just started. I haven't done much. I might do that. The problem is just that every rendering I do will mess up the stream in the meantime, because, well, the camera will crash. Oh, I didn't turn on the camera anyways. This is wrong. I implemented a little rendering overlay for when the camera lags, but okay, hello. Yeah, like I said, I will definitely create a shader live. Maybe I just going later. with the one I started already. The streams will stay online after they are streamed. Well, maybe not if I mess up terribly, but usually they will just stay online on my channel. I don't want to keep them public in my timeline though. I will just make them unlisted and put them in a playlist. So you can still watch them, every part of them, but I don't want them to spam my timeline of videos. That's what I thought about it. Maybe I'll do something different, but that's what I want to do. So yeah, I mean, if you want to watch the whole process of creating a material of a stream, you can just do that after it's finished, but I will probably do some tutorials in the future where I show this in a well, more organized manner. Because my workflow isn't perfectly organized, and I'm not sure if it's easy to understand what I'm doing while I'm doing it. It's probably hard for me to explain every step, because sometimes I just do things and remove them again, and it might be confusing, but we'll see. Yeah, I would have to explain every step. Like I said, I will try to do that when I do some noting, but yeah, you'll just have to tell me how well it's understandable. So if you don't understand something, that's not a sign that you're dumb. That's just a sign that it's hard to understand and that I maybe didn't explain it properly enough. So don't be scared to tell me if it's not understandable. How did you get the bricks to offset each other like that? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean the that they have a different that they stand out more or less from the overall wall? Okay, what's that sound? I have no clue. Okay, I'm missing too many messages. I think I'm trying to answer messages that are already answered. So let me just read up. Tangent space. I don't think Eevee has a problem with node groups itself. I think it's just the sheer number of nodes. I mean, naturally when you use node groups, you will get a lot of nodes, but I think if I ungroup these, it would be just as bad. If you missed anything of the stream, you can just YouTube has a feature that you can just replay, I think 3 hours back while the stream is running. I'm not sure, but you can definitely see the whole stream, watch it back from the beginning once it's finished, and stays out online. A game with not more than 20 nodes used? I'm not sure if I want to commit to that, actually. I mean, 20 is really not that much. I mean, leather. Let's be honest, leather is basically just a Voronoi shader. I mean, I'm being unfair here. You can definitely do more, but with a Voronoi you should actually get very close. Why are you not using displacement and bump? What do you mean? What do you mean, Lapis? I'm using displacement. Oh, you mean displacement and bump? I'm using displacement only at the moment. Well, the answer is I have no reason. I don't know. Did I use displacement only for this one as well? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Let me give it a quick render with both. Oh yeah, okay. The preview is obviously better with both. But I'm not sure about the Okay, that's probably better. Yeah, thanks. I'm getting weird notification sounds all the time, and I have no clue what it is. Sounds I never heard before. I think that was ArtStation. I think it's already looking a bit better. Yeah, I'm using for most of my shaders, at least for the clean renderings, I'm using micro displacement. And if you crank up the dicing scale or crank down the dicing scale enough, there's not really that much of a difference between displacement only and displacement and bump, as far as I could tell. But both is probably better, yeah. The random rotation part of the brick node. It's actually not that hard, and I'm not gonna explain it with this. I'm rather going to explain it with another node setup. I should definitely close some of these Blender instances. It's not good. Oh yeah, I'm listening to music. Do you hear the music as well? Can you tell me in the chat? Because I don't think so. And then also let me know, do you want to listen to music in the background? Okay, that's better. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah. The random rotation. Let me just find the blend file I'm looking for. You don't hear music, okay. Then at least it shows me the accurate one. Do you want to hear some chill music in the background? Because I'd have to figure that out for the next stream, but I couldn't figure it out earlier. It doesn't grab my right audio output. I don't know why. Last time I tried it, it did work. Not sure. I think it's the my audio setup. No music is fine, yeah. I think if you want to, you can just put on some chill music for yourself in the background. Maybe that's the best option. Okay, I'm appending right now the single scatter node group from my scatter tool set I made to showcase the... Okay, it didn't work. To showcase the random rotation. It's actually the same thing as for the bricks. Doesn't work. Why does it not work? Oh, I know why. I'm not using an object. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let me just, so you can see something, increase the interface size. Okay. You might be familiar with the concept of vectors in Blender. I talked about those earlier as well. Let me just grab some coordinates. For X, it's red. For Y, it's green. For Z, it's blue. Blue. And to rotate coordinates, we have to use some math. Let me just go to Wikipedia, because that's a valuable source. And polar coordinates. There we have a simple rotation algorithm here, which is simple trigonometry. You can express every point on a coordinate grid through X and Y coordinate in 2 dimensions, but also through a phi and R coordinate for a radius and an angle. Like this, every point on the grid is defined precisely. So, like this, we can calculate the angle and radius for every point and then change that angle, which is basically just a rotation. So we fix this radius and increase the angle. To do that, we just have to calculate the angle phi and radius r, then change this and then calculate them back, X and Y. And that's just what I do. In here, cell rotation. And yeah, that's basically just math notes. As you can see here, I have the sine and the cosine, just like they are in Wikipedia here. And yeah, it's mathematics. I'm not sure I'm gonna go any deeper into that, but that's how it works. And to get a random rotation, I'm generally using a Voronoi texture. That is my go-to way to get random values. So damn, I closed the file I could have used now earlier. By quantizing coordinates into a specific grid, like, yeah, why not? Like this. I can then put, this is a little awkward now, sorry for that. Making up examples on the spot isn't really that perfect to do. I go through all of this in tutorials in the future as well, so don't worry if it's a bit awkward to understand right now. Okay, I have 3D coordinates right now, and well, it's a bit it's a bit trivial the way I do it right now, but I can put in these coordinates into a Voronoi texture. cells and get different random outputs. If I mess up the scale to be very low, it won't work because they all use the same cells, but usually they don't. Now if this is not random, but just, yeah. This is better, sorry. But just pixelated coordinates, like this, not random, pixelated coordinates. If I plug them in here, I get basically random values. These values are not uniform, nor are they Gaussian. I'm not sure how the distribution is for Voronoi, but most of the time I don't really worry about that. To get exact uniform or exact Gaussian random values, it would be a lot more work than it's actually worth it, in my opinion, with nodes. Oh, I missed a lot of messages again. Yeah, it might have been the sub sound, I don't know. But it might be. I don't know how I set up my Streamlabs. It's been a while. But it went off like 2 times and I gained more than 2 subscribers in the meantime because I uploaded today a video, I think. So, not sure what it is. Are these procedural textures able to be used in the game engine? Well, if Blender had a usable game engine, sure. These shaders are usable in Eevee. So Eevee is a real-time engine, why not in a game engine? But no, you can't export the procedural textures to be also procedural in a game engine like Unreal or Unity. That, I think. If there would be a way, I don't know of it, but it would be extremely useful. But I'm sure in the future there will be something like this. I'm just very optimistic about all this stuff. You can export the textures to be usable in the game engine by using maps, by basic maps. But like I said earlier, you won't have the procedural character anymore. Are you going to share this material? Yes, the brick material I will share this week. Not sure when. Maybe weekend. Hopefully earlier. God, these messages were quite a while ago. Sorry for taking so long to come back to them. Yeah, I thought about the copyright for the music I'm using. Well, you can't hear it, but I would be using royalty-free music. The same I'm using for my videos in the background. Yeah, everyone can put on their own music. My mic is too low. Okay, thanks for letting me know. This should be better. Oh god, I hear myself a bit loud now. Okay. Yeah, copyright is a problem, but royalty-free should be fine. But anyways, this is not really a topic. I won't use music just like this. Where was I? Do you need to have advanced mathematics understanding to be able to make complex shaders? In Blender right now, I would say Yeah, sort of. It depends on how you define advanced. Most of the concepts I use are mostly below A level mathematics, I think. Actually, all of them, probably. But you have to be pretty used to them. So if you find it easy to work around with these math node setups, it will be a lot easier for you to create complex shaders, I would say. But if you that's mostly if you want to come up with new methods to create shaders you haven't seen before. But if you know a lot of the methods you can use without understanding everything 100%, I would say you can still get around to a lot of things in complex shaders. Optimizing render times with big node trees. Well, yeah, I have no clue about that. Most of the time I'm just hoping that it'll be fine. I mentioned earlier that noise textures and what did I say? No, color ramps are pretty much fine, I think. But noise textures and definitely I found the bump node. The bump node is extremely hard on the render time, or at least on the shader compilation time. I'm not sure how that reflects on the render time. I haven't done many tests about this, but that's what I found. There's a few nodes you should avoid to include many of in your node trees, but as far as I know, using loads and hordes of math nodes is fine most of the time. I mean, that's what the PC thrives on, just simple mathematical processes. Am I losing frames? I think the stream is kind of lagging. Maybe my internet is dying, I hope not. What texture are you making? Right now I'm not making any texture, I'm just derping around. How did you get into making textures? It's just something I really like doing. I showed earlier the project I got started with making textures. Basically, this is the first procedural shader I made, this skin shader. Well, not the absolute first, but the first more complex one. And I just really liked doing that sort of stuff and then kept going. .79. Yeah, I haven't really played around with GLSL code, or I have no clue about computer graphics programming. Actually, I'm just very comfortable with using the Blender nodes at the moment. I'll definitely go more in depth with that and see what I can do outside of it. But for the moment, I'm pretty much fine with just using nodes. I think I'm not at the boundaries of what I can do with nodes yet. Oh yeah, Bricker. No, I was actually going with my very dumb naming convention of just getting rid of the voc. Yeah, just putting an apostrophe here. Bricks. I mean, it's stupid, but I like it. But thanks for calling that out. Exporting materials to GL. Oh, okay. So that's something that's planned? Oh no, it's from 2011. But that's not implemented, is it? Okay, there's that sound again. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Maven. That's weird. So it is the subscriber sound. Interesting. But does it only up with when someone subscribes from the live stream, or also from just any video on my channel? Because it doesn't quite sum up right. I don't know. Okay, having something to export the general Blender nodes into any game engine would be massive. But the project that you linked here, Ricardo, I know, I'd have to check it out. I don't think it's a thing in 2.8 right now. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the node trees in the end, honestly, if I look at them myself, I have no clue what's going on. So that's a bit of a problem in Blender right now. You might have a very structured workflow, which I not even have, but you might have a structured workflow of how you create your shader, but in the end, it'll still look like a mess most of the time. I mean, I'm sure you can do it a lot better than I am, like using frames and node groups and everything, but I don't think that's very comfortable to do. But yeah, before I ship this shader, I will probably try to get a hold of this mess. But thanks for subscribing, whoever that was. I'm sorry. But yeah, don't feel bad for looking at this and thinking you're dumb. That's probably not the reason. While I'm working on these shaders, I kind of have an idea of what's going on, but only for the specific parts I'm working on. When I am further in the process of creating the shader and I want to go back, it's all a mess. That's just a problem I have with structure and organizing my shaders. So it's not like I understand everything that's going on here. I could understand everything if I put in the work to go along each of the lines. In my future tutorials, I will definitely make sure that I have a more structured workflow and make sure that I use frames and everything by the time I'm creating the shader itself and not having to do it in the end. But yeah, this shader here, for example, is just something I built for myself without, I just wanted to be fast and get a good result without thinking about looking at it later and being like, oh my god, what's going on? Yeah, that's something I have to work on. Yeah, frames and groups is definitely the way to go. Thanks. Okay, I think I'm gonna start working just a little bit on a second example shader. I have no clue where I left off. I think it was Saturday night. That's how I spend my Saturday nights, doing some shaders. Just gonna give it a render and see what I did. Bricker, I think I heard of that one. That's a modeling tool, isn't it? It's not a shader tool, is it? I'm not sure, but I think I heard of that. Yeah, I actually use quite some reroute nodes. But that's mostly just for convenience and not structure. Just so I have to only move one and change one input when I want to change something. Modeling and shading, yeah, but yeah, okay. Yeah, the thing about the shaders here is that you don't have to model anything. The question is, why do you not want to model anything? But, you know, I think it's still useful. And it looks cool. And it's good to see, good to be able to say that's 100% procedural, no modeling involved. It always feels good to write that down somewhere on your project. Okay, yeah. I already started with this texture with the same tilted bricks and a horizontal shape. Excuse me. Let me go to look dev. This is look dev. That's not right. Yeah, I think Eevee's already messing it up a bit. Oh god. That can't be right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the problem. Working with Eevee with many nodes, at one point you'll just run out of process power. Or RAM. I think it's RAM. No, I read at some point that it's actually a OpenGL thing. It's not even bound to your computer that much, maybe in steps, but I think it's an OpenGL thing. Okay, so I have these random RBGs, these random colors. For each brick cell, for each cell where one brick is inside. And I offset my UV coordinates by this color. Each color can be a vector in Blender as well. So I get this randomized coordinate map, which I use for a noise texture. So each brick has a separate noise texture on it. It's not continuated. And then I use this one to control the horizontal lines, the strength of the horizontal lines on the bricks. here. As you can see, they are stronger here and much less here. It's like they are broken off physically. And yeah, the horizontal lines are just the cell vector for each brick, the UV map basically. The Y coordinate into a wave texture, and then an RGB curve to make the profile more sharp in the creases where it's black. And then I get this, and this I just add to the height map. The height map is just a mix of the height map out of the bricks node group, and then the tilt map, which is a randomly rotated gradient for each brick. These are linear gradients, which means that when I add this tilt map here, okay, I subtract 0.5 to center it, so each gradient goes from, I think it's minus 0.5 to 0.5 linearly. Then I can just adjust the strength to make it, to tilt them even more, and then add them to the initial height map. So this spot will be higher than this one. If I wanted to, I could also put in like a random color, or let me just separate the RGB for this random RGB so I get 3 single values. Okay, I did that already. Whatever. And then use this R value to control the strength of how much I want to add the tilts to the bricks. Then I add the horizontal lines, and then I fix the messed up mortar part here by mixing it black where the mortar is. Yeah, then all this height map into the displacement, and then that's where I am right now. Let me know if it's confusing what I'm doing, or if you understand it. Yeah, I mean, it didn't change much since the last render, but that's basically all this shader does at this point. Yeah. Okay, I had a specific shader in mind, an example. Let me just find this to see if I'm going to the right direction. Yeah. I was going for something like this shader by Charlie Foreman. He makes great textures in Substance Designer. So yeah, this is the horizontal lines. I have to work on the mortar, make it slightly go over the bricks as well, add some cracks maybe, and yeah, some cement onto the bricks themselves, stuff like that. It's always nice to keep an eye on some reference the whole time you're creating your shader. Maybe even multiple references, even better. It's much better than just working in your tunnel without looking at reference. That won't get you anywhere most of the time. Yeah, this setup here is basically the noise 2 group. It's basically the same. I just didn't want to use the node group here most of the time. Like I said in the beginning, I mostly create them from scratch each time. But here we go. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use them for these bricks here. Right now I'm just looking at the reference and trying to figure out patterns that I want to abuse or use for my structure. I think for the color, I can mostly go for some solid background color for each brick. And then add a little bit of dirt and the cement on top. But probably this is a good way to start. Okay, using this texture, I have 3 channels that I can use, and I should use them separately. If I just plug this RGB into a color ramp, I'm losing a lot of information. I'm losing 3 channels for the sake of 1. I'd much rather use them separately. Okay, so I'm adding I think I'm just gonna add dirt and cement separately with color ramps. So where it's white, I want to have dirt. And here the other channel, maybe like this, so I get a different shape. Okay, this is not going anywhere. Yeah, most of the time my process is just a lot of tweaking and trying out, changing stuff I did earlier. I don't really like this. Okay, I have an idea. I will use the second channel here as well. Right now I'm just crafting the shapes that I want by using different noise textures, or at least trying to do that. Yeah, I just go with this for now. I might change it. Edge detection. I'm not sure if I know what you mean. Do you mean like an emboss? What's it called? I mean, you can't really blur in Blender. I mean, I'm not sure if I understand correctly what you mean. If you mean something like, oops. Yeah, maybe just formulate it differently. I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. The separate RGB option. Well, separate RGB splits the channels of the color input. So if I just put in an RGB, oh well, yeah, I can view the different channels of this color, red, green, and blue, which are values. So I split one color into 3 values, basically. You can use that to make different PBR channels if you want to, but basically it's just that. Splitting an RGB color into 3 value channels. Okay, the edge detection, do you mean something like this? Where I have a input map, and then I want to detect the edge around 0.5. So I have 0.5 and then this, for example. I mean, to answer your question directly, I basically don't use any node groups most of the time. I build it all from scratch because it's either very quick to do or maybe even more efficient to use a node group where there might be some nodes that I don't even need in my specific setup, but which slow down the processor. So most of the time I just build them new. So yeah, if that's what you mean by edge detection, you can do the same thing but with math nodes. By, for example, I just have to think about what I'm doing. Subtracting 0.5. Then making the absolute of it. Now I have the exact invert of what I'm doing here. Not the exact one, but then I can divide by the range around 0.5 I want to have. And lastly, invert. Oh, what? Is that what you mean by edge detection? Pointiness. Oh, yeah, edge. Okay, I was thinking about value maps. Thanks for pointing that out. Most of the time I use pointiness just like this. But the AO node is pretty new and I haven't used it that much. It's pretty sad that you can't use the pointiness node for Eevee right now. And AO doesn't seem to work all the time for me. But yeah, I don't know of any other way to force this with other Blender nodes other than the pointiness or AO node. Alright, so that's just some random node setup with math nodes to get in. Yeah, it is basically a mask. So just to iterate this, we have an input map like this. Then we have basically a scan setup to scan through this around the value 0.5 with the range of 0.01. Then gives this. Okay, it's very slow. That's cycles. Okay, I'm in cycles right now. Yeah. Okay, now I just combine the colors. I need a base color for my bricks. So I'm going to use a random value. I'm going to use a different one than I used here. G now into the factor. And then just go for some, okay, that's not good. Some base colors. Okay. Then I said this is supposed to be dirt. I'll make this some dark dirt. Like this. Maybe darker. And then the cement, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. Probably really badly. Not that well. I think I'm going to go for some different settings. This is basically, if you have seen the video from today for the different noise node groups, this is, like I said, the noise 2. This is the scale ratio. So I have 10. Or it might be 1 over the scale ratio, I'm not sure. And then I have the 2 detail values. The distortion is basically 1. Let me quickly see. Yeah, I think I like it better with a little bit less detail here. Okay, just to see what it looks like, I'm going to plug it into the principled BSDF. But I also have to keep in mind that I want to set a color for the mortar. See, now it already gets very confusing. I should go for some frames, sorry. This can go away. Here we go. Not labeling anything right now. This is the color setup. Okay. That's a bit better. I mean, ideally I should label these, but for now I keep it like this. Okay, I have the color set up here. Base color, dirt, cement, mortar. But the mortar isn't set up right now. I am just gonna use this one. Let's take a look. It looks right. Yeah, just let's give it a go. Like that. Okay, it's the wrong one. Let's give it a go like this. Yeah, I just mostly fiddled around. I mean, I watched a lot of tutorials back in the day, but these node things are mostly just trying out some different things. If I started out as a professional, I wouldn't have gotten into Blender for procedural texturing. I think if you have the infrastructure and the basic tools, Blender is very powerful in this aspect, but building everything from the ground up is not that efficient. Yeah, that's all right. I mean, the base color is fine. Obviously, I have to work on the roughness. The roughness is very uniform right now. I don't really like the shape of the spots on here. I also have to add the cement and the dirt to the displacement and the bump map. Like this is just, it just looks like the bricks have this texture. But yeah, I mean, that's basically the workflow. I try something that I think might be right, then I give it a render, say, oh no, that's not what I wanted, and change it. Okay, so I think that's where I keep going. Just this is my displacement, by the way. I will just add the cement map. This is the cement that I have, and I will add it to the displacement. This vector is basically the height. I should also add some grunge texture to it. I'll go for a Musgrave, and I said earlier that when you set the dimension to 0 and the linearity to 2, you'll get this effect. That's basically the regular noise in the noise pack I released. And then I will multiply this over my cement to give it more of a texture. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, doesn't work at all. Maybe not multiply, maybe... Wait, no, it should work. I go for a mix RGB and then overlay here. Why does this not work? Bye, Marcos. Yeah, I hope this is somewhat interesting to see me struggling around with these nodes here. Not really understanding why it doesn't work the way it should. I mean, this should be fine. Should I ever clamp this? The problem with the Musgrave is that it goes beyond 0 into the negative values. So using this overlay can really mess things up for the displacement, I'm afraid. But let's see. Okay. I forgot to use a different slot, but I think it's fine. It looks a bit better. It has a bit more structure. The important part is to get the mortar to stand out a bit more. Well, and to get a bit more texture to the bricks themselves. And roughness. Okay, I had an idea for the mortar, but it's gonna be a bit more difficult. Okay, I'm gonna try one thing very quickly. Instead of using the mortar output here for the mask, I'm going to use a noise texture. Ooh, it's lagging. And then I'm quickly going to grab my height map of the bricks here. And then add a math node to see which one is greater, Okay, so I have this height map of the bricks, which are tilted, and the mortar is 0. And I have this noise texture. Just for demonstration. I'm going to change that later probably. But now I'm just going to see where the noise texture, which is more or less 0.5, but between 0 and 1, but mostly around 0.5, where this is greater than the height map of my bricks. And then I have here. This can't be right. Okay. I made it the wrong way around. Where this noise texture is greater than the bricks. So if I use this for the mortar, I will have some of it above the bricks. I'll quickly show you. Nah, that didn't work. Yeah, it's Eevee. Cycles. Like this. That's what I meant. So it's basically the same thing as using... I did that in the... Did I? No, I didn't. It's basically the same as using a rock formation as a model with a height map, or sculpted, whatever, and then laying a plane through it with a water level. So everywhere where the mountains or whatever rocks are lower than the water level, you will have water. And everywhere where they are higher, you'll have rock. So this is basically just a sea of mortar. So yeah, the other thing I have to do then is to get the displacement of the mortar itself then. Mix with the same map like before. Okay, if I use this, then I should be able to get the correct height map. Yeah, like this. It's colored right now, but it doesn't really matter. Just for the sake of grayscale, I use this vector. So yeah, that's how I produce my node structures. It's just really messy, and I hope that I'm able to keep track of what I'm doing. I hope it's not too confusing. Okay, let's give it a render. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good, but it looks like I expected, basically. So yeah, you can see a bit of structure. It just looks like the mortar is still wet and fluid. It's kind of interesting over result. But yeah, I think that's it for now for this shader for me. I will, because it's kind of complicated, and I'm gonna have to just test out a bit more with this to make it look right. And it's not that easy to explain at the same time. In the future, I will do a stream where I create a shader from start to finish, which is a bit more straightforward, and I know actually what I'm doing and not just trying out and playing around. But yeah, for today, I think that's it with the stream. If you have some specific questions right now before I end, just keep going with the questions. But yeah, I will make sure to do some more streams in the future. But that's it for now, I think. They will be, the streams will be online on my channel after I recorded them. I will put them in a playlist. I don't want them, I said that earlier, but if you didn't hear it, I said that I don't want them in my video timeline with the other public videos and tutorials and stuff, because they are more casual and not that planned. I will just put them unlisted into a playlist, so you can watch back if you want. Yeah, like I said, this brick, where is it gone? This brick texture will be coming probably this week. I will make probably like 3 example shaders, like the one you saw earlier. I just put it up again. This one is finished basically. I'll work them on 2 more and then release them like the other shaders. Okay. Yeah, streaming's pretty chill. I mean, I didn't really know if it's gonna work and if people are interested, but if I'm getting used to it, I think it's gonna be a good time. So yeah, have a good evening, day, whatever time zone you're living in, everyone. I will be off for today, but thanks for watching if you did, and see you then. Oh, that. Is there a question? Yeah, I'm gonna start with some more simple things as well. But I'm personally more drawn to the more advanced stuff because it's more interesting and cool to look at. But I think there's going to be some cool things for beginners to do as well. But yeah, like I said, future streams will be a bit more structured. All right, bye. Have a good one.